Today we're at a commercial job. They needed this hole patch. There was some kind of intercom system in it or something like that. So when I showed up to the job, it was a perfect square just like this, which is a fantastic patch. This job paid $320 and took me about maybe 2.5 hours to complete. With any hole this size, you have to have a piece of backing, any kind of wood. I chose a 2x4, I could have used plywood, I could have used anything, but just something to put behind the area there so your new piece of drywall has something to screw to. Adding backing sometimes can be a little tricky. When you first put your first screws in, you have to kind of give back pressure to the backing so your screws will take, because you don't want those screws to pop through the drywall, because then you'll lose your strength from those screws. I here next add another piece of backing to the other side, so there's two sides for that drywall to screw to. But I guys want to talk to you about what money is, how money works, and I've said it in all my videos, but I'm a firm believer that money isn't real. I make a ton of money, okay, and the reason I do that is because my mindset has changed on what money is. It just isn't real. However much money you want to have, honestly, you can have that much money. You just need to change your mindset and understand that it's just a game, and you can just have as much as you want. Again, this job, I've got 120, 130 an hour, something like that. Pretty fantastic, and as you're going to watch, it's very easy to do. With any business or concept, you can make this kind of profit. It's easy. You just need to break free and change your mindset how money works. I can change your entire financial life. Please watch all my videos. Like them, share them, soak in the information. It will change your life. All right, I've added all my backing. That one right side is a little cockeyed, and that's totally okay. There's a little piece of conduit in the way. As long as it's within 6 inches of the crack, it is acceptable and won't crack. Like all commercial jobs, they use 5/8 drywall, and I just didn't happen to have any of that on me. So this is a 1/2 inch piece, and I just anticipated on filling that extra 1/8. With a batch like this, you could do 4 screws, one on kind of each corner. I ended up doing 6. You just want to make sure there's enough screws, but nothing crazy. Pretty much every single step is extremely important to achieve a perfect patch. However, pre-fill, which is what I'm doing right now, is just so critical if you want a beautiful patch. Basically, I'm cutting off all the ruffled, damaged area, so everything, how that is kind of sticking out. Every ruffle, every messed up drywall is just cut smooth and clean. And it's kind of like a little triangle I'm cutting out. So anything that's roughed up or just anything, just take your knife, take it at an angle, and just cut it so it's very clean. This is so important. A lot of my videos I time-lapse to kind of speed up the process, but I just thought it would be cool in this video to show you real time how long this patch takes. I don't show dry time, so in between layers there's a pause of 15-20 minutes, but this is actually how long a patch takes. For this patch, I used 20-minute quickset mud. It was kind of inside the building a good ways, so it took me a while to get there. If it were closer and easier to get to, I would have used 5-minute quickset mud. We could have got this job done a little bit faster. But in this case, I used 20-minute quickset mud, and any quickset mud will achieve a 1-day patch. Okay, we have prepped for pre-fill. Now this is pre-fill. Now again, how I was telling you, the new piece of drywall is a 1/2 inch and the other is 5/8. So this particular pre-fill is going to look just kind of odd, which is totally fine. If you watch my other videos, this pre-fill will look a little cleaner. But again, it just doesn't matter because it is the bottom layer. I'm going to do layer after layer after layer to get this flat. So although this is going to look very messy, the next couple layers are going to look very messy. That is completely okay because all this is doing is filling in any large gaps to help crack and crack prevention. Now here, because again it's a 1/2 inch piece of drywall, I just need to fill in the middle. So I need to slowly build that entire area up 1/8 of an inch, basically flat to the rest of the wall. So that's why I kind of done that in the middle, because I just need material there. With every drywall repair where there has been damaged drywall, you must use meshed tape. I use the ultra thin meshed tape. It just gives a cleaner repair. And the reason you use meshed tape on damaged drywall is if there is an air pocket, it has a way to breathe through. If you were to have used paper tape, it couldn't have breathed and you would potentially get a bubble there. And obviously you don't want a bubble or tape to stick through. So that is why mesh tape is so critical with every drywall repair you do. I always coach people when you start doing your, I call it second coat, after pre-fill, to always start with the corners, and that's why, because your tape always falls off. So say how I'm wiping the corners, I should have done that first, and this just kind of plasters those seams down. So then when I go down the middle, it doesn't come up like that, if you see how that has been. So just to do that is a little pro tip. I don't know why I decided to not do that time. But anyway, basically we're just globbing the material up there. It doesn't matter how it looks right now. Now we're going to start with the edges, feather those out beautifully, and then we're going to feather the rest out. Start in the middle there and just kind of wipe it. Now this is the second coat. Some people call it the first coat because pre-fill they don't really count. But we're going to see the tape again. It is okay. You're not going to cover the tape in the first go around. So we're just kind of wanting to barely cover that tape. Now again, I have to emphasize again, this is a 1/2 inch piece of drywall and I'm doing a repair on 5/8. So that's why the middle looks extra messy, just because I haven't built it up yet. For a beginner, I would just have used the correct size drywall and we wouldn't have had that. But the steps are the exact same. I've let this dry about 15 minutes, and we're going to go on with our third coat. Now again, it does look messy, but what I'm checking for are high points. The only high point I want is the tape. So here I'm just kind of pushing things in because it's still a little wet, I can do that. But I'm just checking everything to make sure the only high point is that meshed tape. So all that kind of messy area, I didn't accidentally add too much. We are now starting our second finishing coat, or third coat, depending on how you like to look at it. Right now I am just getting the material up there a little thicker in the areas that it needs. Right, now that I have a good amount of material up on the wall, we're going to start by feathering the edges. That is always the first step. I am bending that knife, so I'm just hitting that edge, so the transition between the old drywall and the new drywall is nice and smooth. And then I'm going to take the knife and not bend it, and we're going to just kind of wipe it smooth. I put my knife up flat against the wall because I'm trying to see if it's flat, if there's an area that the knife wiggles, where is the light, so I know where to add mud or where to take it away. This is for a beginner patch. Video is probably the best for a very beginner. I have lots of other videos. This just particular patch gave me a lot of trouble because again I used a I used a thinner piece of drywall than the current, so I just had a lot to fill, and to fill that is really tricky. So if you see me kind of wiping, and I didn't short this video at all, I just played what I did, and a lot of wiping and a lot of fill. It really is technical, this particular patch, but I just thought it would be interesting for anybody that wanted to watch it. Probably 4 or 5 more layers. So this layer is going to take probably 15 minutes to dry. So once I'm done with it, I'll send it.
Perfect. There's in this fridge right here.
For what?
This fridge.
I let that layer dry 15 or 20 minutes. Now, do you see how outside of the patch it looks pretty flat and good? That's kind of, so we're slowly getting there. So I still need to build fill there in the middle so you just don't see the indentation. So that's what I'm doing now. Just like every layer, we get the material up on the wall and then we feather the edges first so we have something to work with. I'm going to let you watch for the next 5 minutes or so, but basically what I'm doing is I'm filling that middle area. So I'm going to wipe it smooth, add more, keep wiping it smooth because I just need to fill and raise that center area. I let that dry for 15 or 20 minutes, and we're getting real close. It looks a lot better, right? So I'm going to do the exact same thing. Now that it's hardened, I can add a little bit more force to the middle without messing up the fill. This is my final finishing coat. For finishing coat, I use a mud called Topping. I get it at Home Depot. It's a much nicer finishing mud. It sands really well. Paint takes to it really well. So I'm just kind of making sure everything's flat. I hammer down any areas that aren't. And then I add my topping coat with the exact same technique. I blob it on there. I wipe my edges and then wipe everything smooth. All right, this is the topping compound dried. I let that dry for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. And now we can do a light sanding on it. The most critical part about sanding is the step from the old drywall to the new, because you don't want to see that lip when you add the paint. A pro tip for finishing and sanding out drywall is see how I'm putting the light up at an angle to the drywall? That sends shadows, so if anything is unsmooth or bumpy or any issues at all, by putting a light up at an angle like that, you're going to see them very clearly. So that way you can sand it out or add a little bit of mud, which I end up doing. It just helps identify any issues that you have. So here I identified a few issues that I needed an additional a little bit of mud. Now don't get frustrated, even if you do 100 layers, you just keep going until it's flat or the correct texture that you have, because that's the point of the whole patch. You want to make sure that it is unnoticeable when painted. All right, we're all done. I'm just going to sand everything out. Just a quick note here. Do you see in the middle there how there's a few darker areas? That is flat, and that's why I added the mud there. It's just drying at a different rate than the rest of the patch. Although the wall is flat right now, it doesn't look that way because of kind of the bumps of that mud that's still drying, and I zoom in to show you. Now, I want to encourage you guys to get out there and make your own money. I am not happy unless I am making 80 to 100 an hour. This job I think paid, I don't know, 120 to 130 an hour just for a couple hours. But I do this full time. I do this more than 40 hours every single week. with no downtime. So it's not like, oh, I had one job a week and then the rest I didn't work. I do drywall full time for this kind of money. And any idea you guys have, you can make this kind of money too. Share with me, comment below about an idea you have, and I'll walk you through step for step on how to make that kind of money. It really is easy. Change your mindset how money works. It's that simple. As much as you want to have, you can have it in your hands. Please subscribe, please hit like, comments. All of these things really help with that stupid YouTube algorithm to help my videos get pushed out there to other audiences. Alright, just to conclude, this patch paid $320. Took me about 2 to 2.5 hours to complete. And it looks fantastic. We're perfectly flat and finished. They can paint it, and I always tell people 24 hours. Please watch my other videos and enjoy the rest of your day.